What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of The Lore Games. It's Thursday. It is my favorite day of the week. This is where we, as a community, come together and we create the 30,000-foot view of the adult fantasy universe. Our job here is to create all of the big milestones that you might see in a large-scale universe. So think of these as the big blockbuster movie events, your End Games, your Civil Wars, all that kind of good stuff. So with that said, this is a spoiler show. We're literally creating all of the cool things that you guys, that the public, I guess you should say, the public will say or will see later on. So if you don't want spoilers, this is not the show for you. However, we want everybody to participate. We give away rewards and BAMF points and everything else for the community. Sometime soon we're going to be getting bigger presents in here and bigger rewards. So we want you guys to participate and jump into the chat and help us develop the story. So before we do that, of course, we need to see who we have tonight for our guests. Hey, it's the crew. What's up, everybody? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go down. I will start this way. I'm going to go right over here.
You're going to go down.
I'm going over here. And I'm going to say, what's up, Avery? How you doing, man?
I'm good.
For those that don't know, Avery Butterworth is an esteemed illustrator. He's worked with Image Comics, Heavy Metal Magazine, White Wolf Publishing. He's also, you have seen his artwork on the cover of the Adult Fantasy Ashcan and some of the interior art, as well as Avery is doing all of the art for the Devoid Origin comic, which is coming out soon. How's your week been, man?
It's been all right, man.
Right on.
I'm enjoying working on things. I'm very excited to see what else we can do.
It's so much fun.
I think it's going to be so good. I'm getting job offers to work on some other indie books. And I'm just like, no.
Yes, I have corrupted him. Yes.
I'm like, no. I've got some of my own projects and this adult fantasy stuff. I got to stay here.
We're gonna do it, man. We're gonna do it. Awesome. So, welcome, Avery.
All right.
So,
thanks for having me.
Of course, always, brother. Next up, we'll go down the line. Far corner, we have the one, the only Zachary Arbella. Zachary is a 13 times published novelist in the fantasy space. His books are freaking awesome. He is a mainstay in Lore Games, and he is writing the very first adult fantasy novel, the prose novel, tentatively titled Blood and Metal. You guys know this because you helped write it. We actually wrote it right here on this show in the last season. What's up, Zach? How you doing, man?
I am currently trying to balance a cat in one hand and a tumbler of Southern Comfort in the other. The cat really wants to drink. Cat's sniffing the Southern Comfort and wants to take a sip. I am conflicted. Do I let my cat get drunk and possibly damage his liver, or be a responsible adult?
I'm sure you'll make the right decision.
Hey, I'm voting for the cat to get drunk.
Well, in my old college, there actually was a fraternity who had a dog, and they would feed it beer. And
oh no!
It didn't end well, and I'll just leave it at that because I don't know. Which just goes to show you, frat boys are assholes.
The dog ended up graduating with better grades.
Unless anyone here is a frat boy, then exceptions will be made. I'm
right
putting
on.
him on the floor.
Right on. All right. Well, welcome, Zach.
All
right, I'm gonna mute you, buddy. There you go. Awesome, man. Welcome.
You'll never mute me.
I will not be silenced.
I shall not be silenced. All right, and
unless you pay me.
That's right. Right below, we have Ramel. What's up, Ramel? Ramel is a phenomenal illustrator. He's a master storyteller. This guy's been everywhere. You guys have also seen his work appear inside of the Adult Fantasy Ashcan edition. Something tells me you might just see some more work of his pop up. How's it going, brother?
I am a survivor. I've been out for a couple of weeks, whatever, overcoming that COVID, but I'm 100% recovered, better. I've been drawing nonstop, and to add to my accolades, Not yet, but I will be a future filmmaker.
Let's do it.
I'm speaking that into existence. It's not happening now, but
OnlyFans doesn't count, Ramel.
It kind of does nowadays. Just saying.
Yeah.
It kind of does.
If you see my page on OnlyFans, mind your business. I'm generating revenue.
There's so many jokes. I'm just gonna leave it there. Welcome, Rebel. Love you, brother. Welcome, man. All right, middle bottom. We've got the middle bottom. We've got the co-founder of Adult Fantasy, the one, the only Flint. What's up, brother? How you doing?
Doing all right. Getting over a cold, but happy to be here.
We are all getting over a cold. That's what happened. It's kind of making its way. Yeah, man. So we're gonna have fun. A lot of things occurred in the last couple games, so we'll do a catch up to catch everybody up. But I'm glad you're feeling better, man.
Me too.
Hell yeah, brother. All right. Well, welcome. And last but certainly not least, we have the effervescent, ever-present, godlike deity of comics, Andrew Charper. Andrew is a independent graphic novelist. He's written and drawn several books, the most recent of which is Hero, which I think he's working on volume number 3. He is also the owner and operator of a wonderful comic book shop called Misfit Corner Comics in Jacksonville, Florida, located at the Jacksonville Beach flea market. It's phenomenal. It's one of the best shops in Florida, and that is not because I love the guy dearly. It's genuinely a dope-ass comic shop. It spoiled me. I actually don't go to other comic shops. I just go to Andrew's. What's up, man?
I just wanted to repeat a couple of quotes from these intros. Pussycats drinking beer, OnlyFans, and middle bottom. I tell you what, if we do not make that... If we do not make those themes for tonight's show, I'm leaving early.
Middle bottom. It's got to be a name for a future character.
Middle bottom.
So I'm gonna let y'all handle that.
Oh my God, we're just getting started. We're like 10 minutes into the show. This is great. Awesome. Well, welcome. Yeah, we're starting off strong. Welcome, Andrew.
Thank you.
All right, so let's migrate. Let's check out the board. So here's the board. I'm gonna go ahead and explain a little bit of what happened last time. Let me make it just a little bigger on screen. I will try to be pithy and read this as fast as possible, so as not to bore everybody. But it's important to do a recap. So the very first cycle that we did is something we call Microscope, for lack of a better term. It's based on a game called Microscope. It is not exactly the game Microscope. We have modified it and we've kind of made it our own, but props are props. So we kind of throw the stuff against the wall, kind of come out with a general concept. And then we moved into the story circle. The story circle is the graph that you see on your right. There's 8 general steps. This is the hero's journey, classic hero's journey. And we are still throwing stuff against the wall, but matching it now to these sections, these steps, so as to craft a story. And we had some really amazing things come up towards the end of the last episode. And so I'm going to read through this and we'll discuss it along the way. And then we'll probably mention the changes or the tweaks at the end, because I believe that's where they are listed. So it's the 1970s. 2 officers, 1 rookie cop or a profiler. They begin by solving a murder due to a mysterious object. This eventually leads to ancient cults, apathetic apes, zombie grandmas, the awakening of the primordial, the destruction of the planet, and hard rock music ballads. So the first step is you. You is a character in their zone of comfort. This is their daily life, everyday activity before the movie really kicks in, right? This is scene 1, act 1. It's 1970s in New York City. The main character, who we named Nathan Ranger, he's kind of like a Jack Reacher character or a Popeye Doyle, a young Harrison Ford. He's young, he's naive, he's idealistic, clean-cut quarterback, rookie cop type. He's the kind of guy that cuts the crust off of his peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Maybe he's an Irish lad. His dad was a cop. and he's a very loyal person, as dictated by MK Kronos. And then his need. What does the character need? What do they desire? Well, his father was a cop, and he really he has the feeling of needing to live up to expectations. He wants to be the perfect son and make his dad proud. Now, his dad was killed in the line of duty, and his death was a little weird. Like, it wasn't a normal murder scene, or a death scene, I guess. And then, so he really needs to try to fix this, and so that has given him in life a desire to set the world in order, which is why order matters so much to him, right? So of course that means that chaos and disorder ain't going to go so well for him, and that is from Carrots. He needs to know what killed his dad. He's been tracking it; it's unsolved. We kind of imagine that this is something that really interrupts his life. Like, he can't even go on a date because he's still thinking about this. He hasn't been able to move forward in his life. It just haunts him. Scenes, files, pictures every night. Like, it's turned into like well beyond a hobby, right? And he's starting to think about conspiracy theories and stuff. The next phase is Go, where the main character enters that unfamiliar situation. This is the upside down world, right? This is where almost inverted, completely different. Our cop is introduced to an agent from some type of agency. We just called it X agency for now. He's taken to a crime scene. This crime scene is identical to his dad's. And the agency now has watched him for years. They know he's an expert in this type of case because of his dad. And they have new info to share with this cop. But in order to do so, the cop's going to have to disappear. So we've decided... we thought about what would happen, and what we ended up deciding is that he's actually going to be convicted of his dad's murder. So he's going to get convicted of his dad's murder. Now, of course, the agency knows that this is a setup. It's not real. But to the rest of the world, he murdered his dad as a kid, and now he's killed this person, and now he's a mass murderer. He's just a multi-killer. So he takes the responsibility for a murder suspect in order to get close to the person that truly knows what happened to his dad. And this guy that knows what happened to his dad is in prison. And so the only way in there is to be a killer. It's a hardcore prison. And this guy is so hard to get to that this guy is ungettable. So you really just got to get thrown into the pit to get to this guy. So this guy is in kind of like a supermax prison for supervillains that nobody knows exists. So imagine Guantanamo Bay times 1,000, right? This is and now we have this really interesting problem where you've got this cop who's a clean cut, super tight knit guy that takes all the corners off of his peanut butter and jelly sandwich, the crust. Super tight knit, super loyal, by the book guy. Convicted of a double homicide, and not just a double homicide, but a double homicide due to superpowers. And so this guy is now going to prison as a cop who is the only human being in a supermax prison full of like hardcore criminals that have superpowers, which is awesome. This guy is like basically a meat bag walking around there. So he takes the blame for the murders of his dad and this new case. So now we're in the prison and we go into the search. He is now the only human in a supermax prison world of supervillains. We had the idea that maybe this was located under the Statue of Liberty. And then we started thinking about like activities that could happen inside of a prison, like a pecking order attack, like a low-level superhero or supervillain has to go after him and he survives. He begins sessions with a therapist who is almost immediately on to him because he's so obviously not a killer, or at least not one that she's ever seen before. He potentially starts a fight with another prisoner with her watching to prove that he's a bad guy, or something like that happens. But of course, he's immediately out of his depth. Luckily, his cellmate intervenes and saves him. Now, it also turns out potentially that he was also formerly of X agency, and they become friends. the guy in prison. So the guy, we started talking about the character who was in prison that they're going to go see. Maybe he's like the prison banker. He actually stores items in his head. Like his head is kind of like hollow and he stores items in there. And maybe his brain is in his stomach. To which Avery instinctively named the character Prison Wallet. So there you go. So the person, basically, at the end of the day, what ends up happening is the only way to get to this guy is a prison break or a prison riot. So they have to do this prison riot and fight through goons and cops and all this stuff to get to the guy that they need to talk to. And when they get to the guy that they need to talk to, he basically kills himself. He gives them a little piece of information, but not really anything that leads to the next part of the story, and then he kills himself. However, whatever the guy says or whatever the guy has done does lead them to learn whether through going through the through an office or sneaking in and finding some files, they discovered that this guy has a daughter, and that the daughter seems like she might know something. What makes it worse is that, or a little crazier, is that our hero's cellmate happens to be Cobalt Fox, adult fantasy character Cobalt Fox. So he's got like that skull face, and he seems to recognize the girl, and maybe even recognize the person that was in the jail cell. And so maybe he's hiding. He palms a picture of the girl or something. Like there's a little bit of a double side to this relationship. All of a sudden, it's something else. Something else is happening. Like maybe there's another reason why Cobalt Fox is helping our hero out. And so that actually takes them. And we had some things go on about how, like an escape. They do a jailbreak and they start going after this. However, what ended up really changing some of the ways that this stuff works was towards the end. Andrew actually had the idea that we started talking about 70s grind. So basically, Andrew had the idea, and the group kind of decided, and we can still talk. I think this is where we start discussing that this actually seemed like more of like a trilogy, where the first book maybe takes place in the 70s in the jailhouse. So it's a 70s grindhouse movie, basically. So the whole thing is just them chopping through people and die-harding it all the way through to get to this guy. And they get a little clue or something. They beat the bad guy, but that just spins off into the next book. So this is essentially chapter 1 is the cop going in to the jail, going through this whole adventure, finding some information, and then it would be the goal is to find the man who killed the father, finds out the person's in prison, finds it, but more questions than answers. And maybe at the end of the day, the big bad guy in the book is that he has to kill a prison guard at the end because maybe the prison guard knows the secret. So he's actually turning bad. Our hero has to do some bad things in order to get what he wants. And then the next book would be an 80s movie, and then the third book would be a 90s heist movie. So the 80s movie is more like Tango and Cash or something. And this would be, the goal of this book would be Cobalt Fox's redemption, because one of the things that was discussed was, what if Cobalt Fox was actually the guy that killed Nathan's dad? And it actually just seemed, we're just learning that. It seems a little too neat and tidy to me, but that's something that we can discuss later. Regardless, the whole point of the second book was that Nathan actually ends up taking the mantle of Cobalt Fox. So we ended up turning this into our Cobalt Fox's origin story. And maybe the daughter of this dead cellmate, this dead cell guy who is supposed to give information, is like a empire connector. And so she's going to send him off on the right direction to really find out who killed his parents. And he gets to go after them as the new Cobalt Fox. And then the 90s, we didn't really dive into too much, the third book, but that would be gaining fame and fortune to get close to the big baddie. And this is sort of how Cobalt Fox became the suave art thief. And of course, we just tossed out some ideas like heist movies like Heat and Ocean's 11. So it's a little odd that we were like, yeah, here's a story, and then we spun it into 3 potential stories. But I think it's a really interesting way for us to start this episode. What do you guys think?
I'm invested.
Awesome.
Yeah. Do it.
So I'm wondering,
Do it.
do it. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to move a new thing over here, and I think what we need to do is, well, let me ask this: as a group and chat as well, how do we feel about turning this story of Cobalt Fox into 3 stories? Now, it could be 3 separate books, or it could be 3 different chapters in a book. We don't know. That is something we can figure out later. But there's basically going to be 3 story circles, 3 clocks into the creation of really what's turning into the origin story of Cobalt Fox.
Yeah.
How do we feel about that?
I like it.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Zach, what do you think? Since you'll probably be writing it.
I have really no opinion at this point. Like I said, I see this more as a graphic novel than an actual novel. So you have, and I find you have a little more room to maneuver with those. So let's see where it goes.
All right, let's do it. Okay. So chat, let me know if you guys have opinions. We all love you. Of course, before we jump in, I'm going to also say hello to them. We got Dusty saying, can I get a GM? What's up, Dusty? GM. Willie D, what's up, man? How are you? GM LFG. Willie D, happy post-merge, everyone. We made it. Yeah, man. The Ethereum merge happened last night. Well, last night for me. I didn't watch the live stream, but I did see a bunch of nerds cheering, so I guess everything went okay. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty awesome. I'm glad we all still have our crypto. No, it was awesome. It's really good. It's great for the environment, and it's gonna, I think, improve the quality of the coin, which is freaking awesome. So yeah, it's a huge news. It's pretty badass. Welcome, Willie D. KG, what's up, man? Evening, everyone. What's up, KG? And yeah, guys, we have some big news coming up with Adult Fantasy. I'm not going to drop it tonight, but stay tuned to the Discord tomorrow. I'm going to give some updates on some progress stuff. Lots of awesome stuff coming, man. I know I say that a lot, but I never fail to deliver. This team has not failed on delivering, and
Just you wait.
Holy cow, man! It's a tsunami of dopeness is coming your way. So, all right, back to this. So let's see. How about I feel like we should, if we're going to start with 3 books, then obviously we need to start with the first one. The first one is going to be The Jail, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, if you guys give me a minute, talk amongst yourselves, and I'm going to quickly type out. I'm going to quickly type out all the things.
Search.
That's all wrong. I totally search. That's the hip hop. Oh, now it just says C. That's cool. What the hell? Why is it? Oh my god. Urch. Okay. I've been up a long time. Okay. Take.
You know, with my edit privileges, I could really mess with you right now.
You really could. Bastard.
Oh, Flint, we missed you.
You just love me for my edit privileges, don't you?
All right, let's see. So I'm just going to copy paste some stuff just to simplify our story. We need to remember that it's the 1970s in New York City. So tell me if this sounds good. So it's the 1970s. And then we're gonna have Nathan Ranger. And then than the clean cut.
What was let me ask a question. What was 70s most known for? Like historic events that happened in the 70s, like
Zach had a bunch of them.
because I know in New York, I think the Son of Sam was real big.
Yep.
I think we were pulling from a lot of classic 70s new wave of American cinema, new Hollywood stuff. So like Serpico, The French Connection, Panic in Needle Park, Dog Day Afternoon, Shaft.
Yeah.
Basically anything cop or criminal related. And also, we were trying to go for the whole 70s vibe, like 70s music, like a lot of disco, a lot of classic rock, a lot of classic rock, Zeppelin and all that stuff. Maybe some, maybe some funk and soul in there as well. I could see like I could see like this, the Mothership Connection being practically the soundtrack for this, or maybe some Lou Reed stuff from that time as well. Big Hair, Bell Bottoms, Studio 54.
Yeah, Studio 54. That was definitely on my mind. Plus, what was the one club?
CBGB's, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is now like a clothing boutique because New York rents suck. So basically, yeah. So the whole idea is that it'll be like I think the original idea was it would be like an episode of like Starsky and Hutch meets Serpico, and you have this guy who's really clean cut, and he slowly gets dragged into a world of filth, and like secret government agencies, and all sorts of weird stuff. So yes, I guess also like a few others. The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3, the one with Walter Matthau.
Oh yeah.
I never saw the original.
Oh,
yeah,
so good.
Yeah, it was really good. It's
Me neither.
really good. It's like Assault on Precinct 13.
I saw that.
Yeah, not the remake, the original.
No, I did see the original. That was kind of brutal.
Yeah, that's kind. I think that's. Would you see that's the vibe? Would you see that all that's kind of the vibe we're going for right now?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Maybe even Jacob's Ladder.
Yeah.
Jacob's Ladder was more 80s.
Was
Yeah.
it? It was more 80s.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah. Jacob's Ladder was that the one with
Tim Robbins.
Yeah, that was like 80s, early 90s.
Okay.
Yeah, it took me to my adulthood to kind of sort of figure that movie out.
It's such a scary movie, man.
You know what it was about, right?
It's like Cthulhu, I think.
The who?
It was like I honestly I've never seen it, but it was
What?
It's so scary.
Well, in Vietnam, they experimented with like some crazy ass like psychotropic drugs on some of our own troops.
right.
And that's what Jacob Ladder's kind of about.
Mm.
It was kind of weird because they you're trying to figure out I think they put it in their food and they kind of flipped out. You think they're like assaulting the enemy when they're actually attacking each other or something like that. And it ended up being a government conspiracy that he kind of conceived in his mind, because in actuality he was imagining his life as he was dying on the operating table.
Well, don't spoil it. Don't spoil it for me anymore. All right, because I have to see it.
My bad.
It's
Or-
really good. It's really, it's totally worth watching.
I'll check it out.
We could do it. We could do a watch party. I own it. I've got it on my on iTunes. Let's see. We have, apologies for this taking.
While we're sitting here, did you also know that Man on Fire with Denzel Washington was a remake of an earlier movie.
Yeah, the Denzel version is actually much better.
Yeah, Scott Glenn played the title character.
Yep.
And Joe Pesci was in that. A very young Joe Pesci.
It's been a long time since I've seen it. I don't really remember Pesci. Maybe I should watch it again. I know it's on Amazon or Hulu or one of them.
No, Pesci played Christopher Walken's character. His I guess CIA counterpart that supplied him with weapons and stuff like that.
Okay.
That was his role.
It's been a long time since I've seen it.
Yeah, plus it took place, I think, in Paris, not in Mexico.
Yeah.
Okay.
I noticed it was streaming somewhere. I saw it. It's either Amazon or Hulu. It's on one of those two, I believe.
Oh, real quick, Avery. Write down this one movie. I want to see if you've ever seen it. It's called Damnation Alley.
No, I don't think I have.
That was an interesting movie. That was about a post-apocalyptic world. Remember the guy? He was real big in the 80s. Jan Michael Vincent, I think.
Uh-huh. Yeah, Airwolf.
Yeah, he was in that movie. He was a starring character.
I don't think I've seen it, but I may. If I have, it was over 30 years ago.
I got this weird thing about old movies.
I love it, man. It's so good.
No, basically it was these guys. I think it was like something happened, and they were at this base, and I think the base blew up, and like a lot of people died. So they traveled this dystopian future, whatever, and they had these two armored vehicles. There was
yeah, like, it looks a lot like a modern APC, but it has those crazy wheels. Wow.
Yeah,
that's cool.
The part I remember when they rolled into that one city that had been overtaken by mutant cockroaches.
I might need to see if I could find this movie.
Yeah, you will laugh your ass off watching that. Yeah.
Oh, right. Oh yeah, it's only like $3 or $4 to watch it. I might check that out, man.
No, you can probably watch it on YouTube for free. I was watching it. They got the whole thing. Oh, okay. Plus, a very young Jackie Earl Haley is in that movie. He's a kid in that movie.
All right, let's see. I think I got enough. I didn't put everything in, but I think I got enough for us to kind of slim. What?
Nothing. I'm just looking at this. Jackie Earl Haley, dude. Oh my god.
Yeah, he was a young child in that movie.
All right. Oh, KG says, I think Hooper with Burt Reynolds when I hear Michael Jan Vincent.
Michael Jan Vincent, yeah, he was the guy from he later did Airwolf, which one of the background shows of my childhood.
Yeah, me too.
He also did that movie. He was also in that little known movie called The Mechanic, the original.
Oh yeah, God, I haven't seen that in a long ass time.
And he was also in Streets of Fire, which is an excellent soundtrack attached to a mediocre movie, basically.
Please note.
You're 100% accurate, because the best song is like the best part of that movie was the song they sang, and it was done by a all-black group, and I did not know until I want to say about maybe 5 years ago that the guy that actually sang it was white. I did not know that.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, is that pretty much everyone and all the songs in that movie were basically studio session players. It's like it was basically written by the guys from Meatloaf, and I think there was I want to say Quincy Jones was involved, but no, because it's like I mean, I don't know if you remember. Do you remember the whole like from the '80s like Milli Vanilli, which you remember Milli Vanilli, right? It's like a few years ago I mentioned some 27 kid who didn't know what I was talking about, but I actually have their album. it's still sitting in the original wrapping, or it was until my cat decided to use it as a scratching post. But no, not the record's fine. I'm fairly certain. But I remember watching a documentary of that, and they have these two handsome young German African dudes, and they show the actual singers, and they're like just regular studio reps, studio sessions. Like they're like in their 40s, but they can sing. And the guys they had on stage, lip syncing. One of them sort of could, but he was more of like an indie folk rock kind of guy, and the other guy, yeah, he just kind of fell apart afterwards. It's really sad.
Please note how quiet Flint is.
Y'all are saying a lot of words that sound made up to me.
Flint, your homework tonight is to go on the internet, look up Milli Vanilli, Jan Michael Vincent, Airwolf, and why and generally speaking, why the 80s were awesome.
I'll give you a hint.
Noted.
Milli Vanilli was a flavor of ice cream.
No.
Yeah.
Dude, it's freaking me out seeing these pictures of Jackie Earl Haley as a little kid. He's such a creepy looking little dude, but he was like a normal looking little kid.
Yeah, he looks like a creepy young kid in that movie.
All right. Thank you guys No, you guys are great.
That derail session.
It's not a derail. It's
what we're
an
good at.
interlude. It's nice.
But some of these tangents lead to some good ideas.
Of course they do. Of course, it's all about. So all I did was I have this in this little note. I haven't named it. It says no status, whatever. I basically just copy pasted some of our core ideas and popped them in somewhere into the circle. So I'll read it really quick and then we can dive in because this will be the first book, which we'll focus on for now, which will be the prison shot. 1970s New York City, Nathan Ranger. I'm not going to do that again. Father was a cop. We got it. He goes into prison. He's going to take responsibility. Got to go to that supermax prison. He's now the only human in a supermax prison world of supervillains that may be located under the Statue of Liberty. So inside of search, we're going to have like several different things because there can be cross stories and all this stuff. But some of the things that we have is he begins sessions with a therapist who's almost immediately onto him. Maybe he starts a fight with another prisoner with her watching to prove he's a bad guy, but is immediately out of depth. Luckily, his cellmate intervenes and saves him. They at some point create a prison riot. I feel like there's probably more that happens in between there because that's like a big jump. But he creates a prison riot. Main cop fights through goons to get to the person that they're trying to get to, and then of course he wants to escape, but he won't in this book, or maybe he does at the end. We find the guy. So we're at the fifth part, the bottom part. Find what they wanted. The guy in prison who stores items in his head. He's a prison banker, but the person in prison he was supposed to talk to kills himself in his cell. They learn he has a daughter. The next thing is take. So take is basically you have to pay the price for finding what you want. Well, one of the things, and we didn't mention this is for Ramel and Flint, but Flint might remember, but I think Ramel, you were absent. But we had the idea that the prison is actually a Suicide Squad style battle arena, like not officially, but both good and bad teams send soups in there to fight, to figure it out. Like if you had a supermax prison full of supervillains, if you were a government sanctioned super team, you might just toss like a superhero in there just to see if he's worth his weight. Put him in a pit to fight some bad guys to see what's up. So maybe our hero has to deal with that. That would certainly be payment. He has to pay the price for finding what he wanted. On the return, which is the return is usually going back to where they started. This is not 100% the return, but he would maybe have to fight their way through or past mecha armor cops. That might even be a take. Like they just have to fucking brawl it out. And then he has to come back changed. Basically the only other thing, and I'm not going to add it right now, but the other thing that we came up with, one of the interesting things about the story circle is that as you're going through these four quadrants, like 1, 2, 3, 4, the character basically changes. So in the top right corner, his normal his normal self when Nathan Ranger starts the movie, book, the story, he's order and law. He's order and law. And then when he goes into the upside down world, it's disorder and law, meaning he's still a person at his core who believes in law and order, but now his organized world has been destroyed. There's disorder and law. When he moves over to find what he wanted and take its price and pay its price, he now moves into disorder criminal. He has to start to become the criminal. And it doesn't have to be major at this point. We're thinking like petty theft. He's going to have to do some criminal things like start a prison riot or something, maybe getting another prisoner killed, or he's going to have to do more and more things that push him further and further and further towards becoming an actual straight up criminal. And then as he comes back into that fourth quadrant, he comes back to order. He becomes back to order, but he's a criminal. So he goes from order, disorder, criminal, order, criminal. And so now he comes back now capable of change. He still has that order and he's all buttoned up and tight like a Cobalt Fox would be, but now he's a criminal. Which is interesting because he starts the story an innocent guy who takes the rap for a double homicide, and maybe by the time he comes back order criminal, maybe he's killed 2 people. And he didn't kill his dad, he didn't kill this other guy in the alleyway, but now he's actually killed 2 people, or 2 people are dead because of him, right? I think that's a really cool dynamic that we could play with. That is where we are.
I actually like that the dynamic. It reminds me of 2 particular movies that stand out. That trigger that Dante's Inferno.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen that animated movie?
Yep.
It was about a guy. I guess he was a soldier, or whatever, and he's entering into hell to save like some girl. But each level test him in different ways, or whatever. But that it's kind of along the lines of what you were saying. Plus, if you ever watched the Apocalypse Now,
mm-hmm.
it kind of follows that kind of guideline. When you have a guy, he has to find Colonel Kurtz, and in order to do that, he has to dehumanize himself in a sense, and he's capable of doing these evil things. And actually, it's not Kurtz that he's after. He's after the Heart of Darkness, because that's what the film was originally written after. That was the name of the title that the movie was made after. Mm-hmm. And the Heart of Darkness was more like a prize. In order to earn that prize, you had to go through a psychological and physical change, and that's like to go through all these dehumanizing acts in order to obtain that prize. But the prize is never spoken of. It's like that position. Kurtz was in possession of the prize, so in order for him to get the prize, you had to take Kurtz out, kind of story. So I'm just kind of explaining that.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. There's a lot of I love that kind of stuff, like Breaking Bad, the main bad guy, Brain. I always loved how they did a physical change on Eisenberg. If you remember at the very beginning of Breaking Bad, he's a school teacher, and he's clean cut, right? He's shaven, and I can't remember if he's wearing glasses or not, but then he's got hair. And as he changes into this drug dealer, his hair falls out and he shaves it and he grows that beard and then he has the glasses. And so he actually does a full physical transformation throughout the show. And it's really brilliant the way they set that up, to where he's really, if you compare what he looked like in episode 1 to what he looks like in the last episode, it's night and day, right? It's just a complete deconstruction and transformation of a person. It's really great.
Yeah. And the cancer diagnosis brings out a lot of deep-rooted resentment and anger in him. towards other people in his life.
Yeah.
He brooded stuff. If he hadn't got sick, it never would have bubbled to the surface.
Right. Totally. It's great. It's absolutely epic. So we've got, I feel like we should, so we've trimmed it up. I feel like we could start, we either could start with the search, because I feel like we can fill some blanks in with the search, or we can kind of dive into some other areas like finding the bad guy, or the guy in prison, the informant, or whatever the guy is, or the return trip, paying the price, returning and changing. We haven't really jumped into that. The only thing we have with take, return, and change is the take, something like a prison suicide squad battle thing. Another take might be fighting with their way past the mecha armor cops. 2 people are dead because of him. We also haven't really established a main antagonist. We have been talking about having the therapist actually be the main antagonist in the entire story. We don't necessarily need her. We don't necessarily need her to be revealed this in the book, but he's still in order for our hero to be Cobalt Fox and to become what he needs to become, he really needs to beat up the big baddie. He needs it's Batman to Bane, right? So like, who's his Bane, and how are we gonna introduce this character? Like I said, it doesn't have to be the main baddie. We can find out later that this character was this Bane-like character was just an enforcer that was actually targeting this that our hero, because of the Kingpin character, right? So, how would you guys like to proceed? I've been talking a lot. You guys take over.
I feel like, I agree that the therapist should be the main antagonist, but I also feel like she needs to be revealed late in the story, and there needs to be a kind of an intermediary, like you said. And maybe it's, one of the prisoners, maybe a gang leader of some kind, who's kind of making his mission to beat up the new guy. Maybe he finds out why the cop is in the prison, like who he's trying to find. And I haven't been super satisfied with the target that the officer has been seeking out, killing himself. I think it'd be interesting maybe if this gang leader that's the antagonist for the entire story gets there first and kills the guy just as a screw you. And then maybe the cop fights him and kills him, and that's part of his turn into being a criminal, is that fight.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
It's kind of crossing over a little.
What was the last part after the gang leader kills the dude in the cell?
And then the cop is angry because that was his one opportunity. And so they fight, and the cop wins and kills the that intermediate antagonist. And that kind of facilitates him crossing that line of becoming a bad guy because he took a life.
If I may, I do like that. To expand on that, I think it would be a great idea if the therapist is more like a puppeteer character, to where he positions people. He's secretly pulling the strings psychologically. He's manipulating all the events, like the gangs that are in there. They're under his manipulation just through influence. And it's like nobody really suspects the therapist because of the way he implants ideas in other people, but he's really like pulling strings. And with that, he's kind of testing certain aspects of his humanity and his resolve. Like, will this guy actually take a life when necessary? Because it's all part of the the dehumanizing, deconstructing and dehumanizing somebody to build what you want. So that's just my input on that.
I so you guys just said something. So KG actually summed up as well. Yeah, it's funny, Ramel, you were saying this while KG was typing, and KG said maybe the main bad guy in the prison has it out for him. And they said, come to find out later, the prison therapist is sending prisoners to kill him.
Yes.
And it's like, yeah, right on the same page. But both you guys said that, and I was writing it because you both said it. And then it dawned on me, what if to Ramel, you and KG, like you guys' point, what if the therapist doesn't know or care about this cop, or maybe the therapist maybe finds out about the cop. Maybe it's the therapist that gets killed. The therapist doesn't have to be the kingpin figure. The kingpin figure that we find out later on install the therapist. The therapist is the big baddie for this. So the therapist has to die. Maybe the gang leader has to die as well. There's your two kills to balance the two that he was actually blamed for. But the therapist is pulling the strings, sending prisoners out to kill our hero, not because, at least at first, not because he has it out for the hero, but because the therapist is the one setting up the Suicide Squad style battle pit. Basically, it's like the Fight Club. So the therapist is like getting paid to set up these massive battles, the after-hour pit wars to discover the superheroes and stuff. And so it's kind of going out after our hero, right? That would tie up a lot of things.
I'm definitely with that. What you could also you were saying that our hero he's in pursuit of the position of Cobalt
Fox.
Yeah. So if you're saying that Cobalt Fox is a mantle, then who are the other people that have that also have mantles that we're not seeing? You see what I'm saying? If he holds a mantle and his job is to sit in that prison and to evaluate, then who are the other people that also participate on that particular mantle in this organization?
Right. And that's the thing, is like maybe at the end, maybe this volume, this first story is beating the therapist and beating the gang leader. And then the clue is that maybe, I don't know, our hero's dad was actually, this Fight Club's actually been going on since the 70s. His dad discovered it, or his dad was going to shut it down. And they killed him as well. So now they know, now he discovers that there's another link to somebody else. And now he has to go hunt down the mob boss in the next book, who is actually the people running this super pit, right? This battle pit. Maybe his dad was killed in the pit. I don't know.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
Just gonna say that. Maybe his dad was in the prison and he was killed in the prison.
Yeah, and the only way to find out what happened in the prison is to go to the prison. Which would make sense why there's information in the psychologist's office that they find to further the story, right?
I have two suggestions. Every time I think about the prison, I always think about my all-time favorite prison movie, which is Shawshank Redemption.
Oh yeah.
Besides the therapist, we need three villains. We need the warden, we need the head of the guards, and we need the head inmate, who's the antagonist, the Boggs of this group. And all three are pivotal, important to our main character.
Right.
And the therapist is the one behind the scenes pulling all the strings, but we need these three characters, these three fuck it, never mind. I can't say it. The words aren't coming. And something else I wanted to point out before we get too far into this. One of the things Todd mentioned is that this story, this trilogy, is the origin of our current version of Cobalt Fox. The suave, the debonair, the jewel thief, the high-end art thief, and so forth. The Cobalt Fox that we meet that's in prison doesn't have to be that right now.
Right.
That's what he becomes. So the Cobalt Fox that we meet in the prison has the mask, has the pipe, has the powers, has the knowledge, but he doesn't necessarily have to be suave and debonair. He can be brutal. He can be blunt. He can be anything we want him to be. We need to take that into consideration when we're writing the story, because I keep imagining him being suave and debonair when he absolutely does not have to be. He can be a different type of villain in this story, one that's been molded by this system that he's in, the prison system that he's in. He's much more hard. He's much more, maybe he doesn't have empathy anymore. Maybe that's something he finds in the second story, in which he's out on the run with our main character. Mm-hmm. But in this story, he could be the epitome of villainous badass. Doesn't have to be the uptight jewel thief. That's something that he becomes, or Nathan becomes later on. Something to consider when we're working on this story.
And KG says also he needs a friend that helps our main character out. So that would be probably Cobalt Fox.
Right.
And then he says who may also get killed at some point, which fuels him towards the dark side. Yeah, I think
that could also be a prison wallet.
Yep. The friend could be prison wallet.
Yeah, he could be a friend of him.
Because he's not more of a joke to me. You know, he's more of a joke character.
But exactly. But he's harmless, and he helps them by helping hide contraband and stuff. He's the Chris
Rock prisoner to Adam Sandler's leader in prison, you know, from The Longest Yard, the remake, The Longest Yard. You know?
Sure.
Maybe he even dies. Maybe he's the one that dies.
Could be.
Yeah.
Oh,
we're using a Shawshank reference, he'd be Tommy. You know?
Oh, Tommy was the kid that knew about
that he helped get his high school equivalency, and then because he knew something about the truth about the main character, the warden and the Captain Hadley, Clancy Brown's character, killed him.
Played beautifully.
Mm-hmm.
Hey man,
God, that guy's got a great voice.
Who, Clancy Brown?
Flint. Yes, Flint.
I never.
Wait. What did Flint say? I missed it.
He said spoilers.
I never knew Clancy Brown did one of the voices on SpongeBob.
Oh, really? I know he did some of the voices in the Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah, but no, he did a voice for one of the voices on SpongeBob.
Flint.
He was also one of the voices in the series Gargoyles.
If you have not seen Shawshank Redemption, get the fuck out of this live stream right now. Get out right now.
Bye. He's probably never seen it.
Oh my God.
Oh man.
Wait. Whoa. Who hasn't seen Shawshank Redemption?
Flint?
Who do you think?
Flint does not get a lot of our pop culture references.
Flint doesn't have time. Flint is busy working on the only pop culture reference that matters, adult fantasy.
Yeah.
You have not lived till you watch that movie.
It's a great movie.
I've heard it's amazing. It's on my list.
It is.
It should be near the top of your list.
Yeah. I just watched The Black Phone. And I
haven't seen it yet.
And I was talking to someone about it, and I go, you know what? It reminds me of a Stephen King story, but with a satisfying ending. and the person was like, yeah, well, it's based on one of his kids' books.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
But I'm gonna tell you something really weird about Shawshank Redemption. my favorite line in that entire movie was when he was talking to Boggs. When he said, "Whatever you put in my mouth, you'll lose."
It's amazing that's Romel's favorite part of the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, KG says Joe Hill.
Yes, Joe Hill is Stephen King's son. He's also the writer of Lock and Key.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, interesting.
But,
And we have talked to Lock and Key was Devil's Due, right?
No,
I think so.
No,
Or was it IDW?
it was IDW, I believe.
IDW,
Okay.
okay.
IDW.
All right. So that's actually pretty cool, man. I like that. The warden, head of guards, head inmate, therapist, and then the head inmate. I think we kind of said like a gang leader or something.
We
So if I may-
we definitely need to make them like the epitome of 70s crime.
Yeah.
You know, what's a good crime? Not a gang leader, but somebody else. So
Oh, to be fair, we had that. What did we watch at the last time? That sex and
Oh no, God! Yeah, that almost got you, dude, with the boobs in the trailer.
yeah.
What?
With a title like that, Todd, what did you think it was going to be?
It was like a
Come on.
70s grindhouse film, and it was like a YouTube trailer. And I was like, oh, let's watch a 70s grindhouse.
What was
YouTube
it called,
trailer.
Todd?
Like this Japanese thing. It was awesome.
What was it called?
Oh no, I thought you were talking about that movie called X, which is a horror movie.
No, it was what was it called, guys? Come on. It was
I don't remember.
let me look at my history real quick.
sex and something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But it was like in the
Sex and
70s. I was like, it's not gonna be that big of a deal.
HBO had a series in the
Sex
70s.
Sex and Fury. Sex and Fury.
Something. Honestly, what did you think it was going to be?
I figured it would be sexy and furious.
You know what that sounds like? That sounds like one of those
Sounds like a good time.
early 80s
Yeah.
titploitation films.
Yeah. I totally thought it was gonna be something like that, but it was. I mean, it was, but it had a little like I wasn't expecting nudity on a YouTube video. So,
Todd's
like,
the only person I know that would see the title of a movie that says boobs and butts and go, I don't know what this is about. I wonder what's going to be in it.
Hey, man, you never know.
Well, me, I like going on Tubi, and if I see a title that says Naked Vampire, guess what? I'm watching it. It is
Right?
what it is.
Thank you, Ramel. Thank you for being the voice of sanity here tonight.
Yeah.
So-
For a free streaming app, Tubi's actually pretty good.
Well,
It is.
do you get
It is.
upset when you watch it and find out there's no vampire in it?
As long as it got the first part.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway,
No, it did. They were vampires.
Okay.
you guys are.
Anyways.
After hours, I'll tell you a very funny movie I saw on Tubi. It made no sense, but I laughed my ass off.
All right, we'll do that. We'll do that next. Let's do this because we're doing pretty good. And
We're derailing it very quickly.
we're derailing it. No, but it's actually been great because we've reorganized things. I think it's a big aha moment to have the warden, head of guards, head inmate, therapist. These are going to be the characters that he's going to be in with. If we really want a grindhouse, we have to send him to a female prison, but that's probably not going to happen. So, so warden, head of guards.
Female prison, but right.
So let's just do this. Let's set up a little bit of character stuff. What would the warden's role be in this, and how would they meet? Like, what would be some of the universe around the warden?
Actually, let me ask this question. Let me ask this question real quick. How would you, out of the three characters, how would you tier them? So far as in the most important, in like, say, would you say that the therapist is like the most in the central character? So far as in tier, like the most important, with the warden under him and the gang leader being last?
See, I would say that's a great question. I would actually say that in terms of screen time, it would be the head inmate. It would be the gang leader, because it's kind of like that head fake where in the realm of the bigger story, the therapist is the big bad villain. But the way you make that character the big bad villain is to be this person is a friend. We even talked about it being a female. So it could almost be not a love interest, but a little bit like The Sopranos, like there's a little bit of a sexual tension or something between it. But really she's just playing him because she's the ringleader of the therapist is the connection to the Kingpin character. So she's actually the big baddie, but she's not even revealed. And she might not even get caught this book. So the big baddie in the book, in terms of the biggest threat, is actually the gang leader. Because the gang leader is going to try to straight up kill our guy, right?
I don't think that's true. I think his threat is because he's the closest. The gang leader is the one that can get closest to him, where the warden is probably the perceived biggest threat, because he's going to be perceived as the one that's in control of everything, when we know, in honest truth, he's not. He's just a puppet. But he's the one that can control all the pieces that are on the board. He controls the guards. He controls the police mechs. He controls everything.
Fair enough.
I have a question. Why do you have mechs in the 70s? Just putting it out there.
Because we're different.
Okay.
Because mechs are cool in every decade.
They're actually steampunk mechs. They run on
they're Robotech.
Have you guys a couple things on that? First, have you guys ever seen Pat Labor? The anime.
Oh sure.
Give me something like that.
Who hasn't? Flint.
I have. It's a long time ago for me. But second, you mentioned the warden. I'm thinking, you guys have seen? Have you guys seen the remake of Death Race 2000 with Jason Statham?
Yes.
And,
Awesome.
Joan Allen as the warden. Maybe it could be someone like that. Not like a typical fat gutted sleazy warden, but maybe someone like the Joan Allen character, that kind of like a very calm, collected, very technocratic person who's there.
Well, in that Death Race remake, the girl, our head guard, and you had Ian McShane, which is more like a steward.
Yeah, but I'm thinking about the warden of the prison, the one who created the Death Race. It was played by Joan Allen, and she was like kind of like a very almost like a corporate figure.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, so it could be like that. I mean, something like that would be interesting.
Or we could go another way and make this person, the opposite of what you were saying, the fat, disgusting, pig type person. Rommel. I'm thinking of
like Tommy Lee Jones from
no, even worse. What was that manga that the one where the kids are put on the island, they all have to kill each other and one survives?
Battle Royale.
Oh,
Battle Royale. Do you remember the main bad guy from Battle Royale? He was like this disgusting fat. He was just horrible. I forget. I don't know his name.
I never finished the original Battle Royale. I never finished it.
What about to Andrew's point? What about the Baron from House Harkonnen from the first Dune, the original?
Oh yeah, okay.
Ooh.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah,
the floating fat guy. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm spelling Hark. I think I missed a.
Do your best.
2 N's.
Yeah, I think it's
because the one in the remake, it was made by Stellan. It was Stellan Skarsgård.
Yeah,
yes.
but that first one, like, let's see. Let me see if I can.
Actually, in the remake, I understood the actual political plot a little bit better, because when I was young, Dune, the effects and all that were cool, but a lot of stuff they kind of like casually glossed over that was central to the actual story. So in the remake, they told the story from a different perspective, which made me kind of understand exactly what was going on. That the whole thing was a trap just to eliminate the House Atreides.
Well, actually, it's even worse than that. The original cut of the movie was about 4 hours long, and basically the studio said no way, so they had to cut it down to about 2.5. Even when 4 hours long, it's like a friend of mine was actually at a guy I knew. He was younger. This is back in the '90s. He was actually at the opening of the movie. The ushers were actually handing out study guides for the audience to explain the plot, because it was just so confusing that the effects were incredible, but no one can make sense of the plot.
I loved it, man. I don't know. It always made sense to me.
I liked it too. I mean, I thought I thought Kyle MacLachlan pulled it off. There's just that the book is just so it's just such an incredibly dense story that it's kind of hard to put it together in a single movie.
Oh yeah.
The Sci-Fi Channel did a miniseries back in the early 2000s. It's obviously really low budget, but they stuck to the story a lot better.
The Children of Dune.
Yeah, Dune. Yeah. And which is odd. The second one had Susan Sarandon as the evil princess, and you could tell she was like enjoying. She was chewing the scenery on that like crazy, and you could tell she was having the time of her life. It was like it was right up there with like Jeremy Irons in the original Dungeons and Dragons movie.
Mm-hmm.
Jeremy Irons was in the original Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, back in 2000. It's the reason why they waited 22 years before they rebooted the franchise, because that was a major stink bomb.
All right, so we got Warden perceived the biggest threat, controls pieces on the board via Death Race 2000 and or Baron.
It's Kenneth McMillan's the name of the actor.
Yes.
Awesome. Cool. So we're gonna say we perceive him as the biggest threat. That makes sense. Would it be the gang leader be next? Or it seems like the gang leader would be more of a threat than the head of guards, but the head of guards also could be like, get your ass kicked in the cell kind of a thing. I mean, the guards have a lot of power too.
Well, actually, during that time, especially in New York City, gangs were really big. So it's not unrealistic for the gangs to run the prison. It's like they run it to a certain extent. Like just the contraband and all that is controlled by the gangs. And you have the one guy, the gang leader, he's like the most capable and experienced to kind of, I want to say, to where it's not just an all-out war. It's a constant truce that he kind of oversees, that he's entrusted by the warden to maintain. So basically, like, okay, I'll put you in this position as long as you maintain just not an all-out war. Just everybody, do your operations, but just no fallout war. Because if a war actually breaks out, they can overtake the prison, like in Attica. Because remember, Attica happened in the 70s, I believe, if I'm correct. I could be wrong.
See, I think actually what you're writing there, you're describing two different characters. You say a gang leader would probably not have a truce with the warden. I imagine more, maybe there's two main bad guys. One's chaos and one's order. Because you have to remember, these are also supervillains. This head inmate gang leader could be like a Joker character, but then you could also have another one who is like a mafia boss, because a mafia was big during the 70s, more like a kingpin. So you would have a organized and then a disorganized.
Well, there are I can't think of the name of the movies, but I've seen several where you had kind of like that biker gang leader, who is just like your Hell's Angel character, who got the food, got the cigarettes, got whatever, basically was treated like a kingpin in prison because, to Ramel's point, there was a truce because he could control, if anything happened, if he wasn't treated well, his his minions would just start, if it's the 70s, could start like a race war or something. You know what I mean? Like just start really tearing things up. And so to maintain order, he has a deal to keep his people in check. Like,
speaking of which, one of my favorite prison movies outside of Shawshank was American Me.
Oh, I saw that. I saw a part. I don't think I saw that whole thing.
If you remember American Me, the main guy, he set up the Mexican mafia. They don't say it in the film, but he established the Mexican mafia, which was the most ruthless gang at that particular time, and they wanted to break them up. But what they did was they actually created a bigger gang by sending them to other prisons, because the members they sent to other prisons took over those prisons.
Right.
So, but they coexisted with the Black Guerrilla family, and there was friction, but there was an attempted war, but it didn't happen because they were retaking the prison or whatever. But you can kind of have like an uneasy coexistence, but no all-out war.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. And it actually makes a lot of sense, because if it actually makes a lot of sense because we already have the plan where there's going to be a prison riot, right? And so now we've actually just set up a character whose job it is basically is like, he could trigger a riot if you wanted, but he's not because of his position. So now we can actually put some events in play that trigger, that either force him to do it, or because he dies it happens, or something. Right?
Oh, or he's watching the day-to-day process between the gangs, and in order to start that war, he has to take somebody's life and kind of frame another gang, because you already have tensions between the sides, and he knows that by taking out maybe not just an ordinary soldier, but somebody of importance, would actually kind of be the catalyst to an all-out war or that riot.
Well, maybe that's where having two bosses in the prison, one mafia boss, one gangland boss, starts the riot, is one of those killing the other. Maybe that's part of the plot, that Nathan has to start the riot by getting those two factions to war against each other.
Yeah.
Knock off the mafia boss. I don't know. I like the idea of chaos and control, where you have the Joker character and you have a Kingpin character. They're both high-level head bad guys, and they're both trouble. Can be trouble for Nathan.
All right, I'll put I'll create a head inmate too, just as a character.
Yeah.
Yeah, do as I say.
I think his first kill should be later in the story.
Yeah.
So if he needs to, but I like the idea of having to knock off someone in order to start the riot. Maybe because it's earlier in the story, he knows he has to do it, and he tries to do it, and he can't go through with it. And maybe his cellmate does it for him. That way there's more impact later when he kills the big bad.
Maybe, yeah.
Ooh, what if in the story, Cobalt Fox is like second in command to the mafia bad guy, and in order to start the riot, he's the one that can get closest to him, and he's the one that does the killing, and then blames it on the Joker, the gay biker gang guy.
What if Nathan? Because I like that. Like, what if, and if this is the first guy that Nathan has to kill, and there's no choice. At this stage, if this was his first kill, it's not going to be like a straight up kill. It's going to be Nathan is going to use his wits and his savvy to position the other guy in a place where he's going to get killed. Kind of like if you wanted to just kill the big bad guy and you maneuvered him onto the train tracks and then the train hits him, right? Like you didn't kill him, but you kind of did. So it's like, but it's kind of getting into like that moral gray area, right? And then the final boss, he has to like there's no choice. Like he can't. His back is against the wall so much to the point where like the only way for him to get out is to actually become the criminal and kill the guy.
I still imagine Nathan's only killing is of one of the police officers, maybe even the head guard, but he does it in order to save Cobalt Fox's life.
Oh, how about this? The guy that he intends on taking out, he doesn't. It's like he's to that point, but he's not fully committed. So that plan kind of blows up in his face, gets exposed by somebody else, and he has to kill that person in order to protect his real interest.
Yeah, I think by the end of this story, he only really has to kill one person to start his trip down the next path. And I think the idea of doing it to save Cobalt Fox as they're escaping kind of like puts Cobalt Fox kind of in his debt a little bit. An additional reason why they're still together at the end of the story, on the run together. I think it makes sense. I think when it comes to in the prison killing, Cobalt Fox has no qualms about it because he's that much of a villain. You know, it's easy for him to start a riot by killing somebody. It's easy for him to take somebody's life in order to further their goals of getting out of the prison. But for Nathan, it's a last minute split decision in order to save somebody's life, but he's still becoming a criminal in doing so.
Yeah, I'll say
it's not something he does throughout the whole story. It's got to be the very last thing he does. You know.
Yeah, mm-hmm. I'll say just as a slightly contrary point of view, you know, my mental picture of the current Cobalt Fox is, you know, he's what you said. He's a hardened criminal. He wouldn't have thought twice about killing someone. But my mental picture of him is he's trying to be better. You know, he doesn't want to kill anymore, but it still comes easy for him. So it's kind of
second nature
for him. Yeah, it's a second nature for him that he actively is fighting, which I think, you know, if we go that route, it leads to an interesting dynamic when he discovers, you know, his role in the killing of the main character's father, right? Because he wants to be better, but his past is coming back, essentially.
Well, actually, how about this for added layer? The Cobalt Fox guy, like I say, he's raised as a killer or a hitman, a mafia hitman, and throughout his life, the only thing he's ever been really good at is killing. But when he looks back on his life, it's almost like a waste, because the only thing that I was ever good at was killing somebody. I actually want to be a better person by doing something else. But all he knows is killing.
He wants to be a film director.
You know, that kind of sounds like.
Sorry, I couldn't resist. Sorry.
That kind of sounds like the plot from Grosse Point Blank.
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
I saw that, but I did not make that connection.
Popcorn.
Yeah. The point of reference character for me has been Kratos from the new God of War game. For those of you
now you've just hit everyone here on the panel has no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's how it feels.
No, God of War has great storyline. It's just I don't play the game, but all my friends do. They're crazy about it.
Yeah, the newest one, fantastic, so good.
Let me pull.
Can't wait for the new one. Anyways,
Here, I'm gonna put up Kratos so everyone can see.
Actually, if you YouTube the history of Kratos is a very savage story, and he got that appearance for a reason.
Oh yeah.
You know, I kind of think of him more like Tombstone from the Spider-Man comics.
Kratos is more savage. Isn't that that white paint like the ashes of his wife and daughter or something like that?
That's right. Yeah.
You don't get no more hardcore than that.
Nope.
That's awesome. Yeah, cool character. Great design.
Yeah, he's an ass kicker.
Yeah, that's one of those. That's one of the games I've really wanted to play.
Dude, it's so good.
Cool. So we've got Cobalt Fox, supposed to be better, but past coming back to haunt him. Doesn't want to kill, but doesn't have a problem with it. Hitman, only good at killing. Warden, perceived biggest threat, controls pieces on the board. Death Race 2000 and or Baron from House Harkonnen. Head inmate, gang leader. Gangs run the prisons. Truce with the Warden, has a position, can do operations, but no all-out riots or race wars. Maintains order, coexistence. In order to start the prison riot, he must frame another boss. Nathan must trigger this by killing someone. And we said maybe via maneuvers, maybe not. Can't do it, is exposed, leads him to having to kill a character for real. So all he had to do maybe was set somebody up, and he couldn't do that. And that decision domino effects to him actually having to kill somebody. Head of guards, killed by Nathan in order to save Cobalt's life. Who's the head of guards? Let's talk about him, because he's a pawn or a lieutenant, I guess. He would be the weakest.
He would be the weakest in the tier to me, because he's second to the Warden, but he has too much oversight, because he can't overthrow the Warden. He can't overthrow a gang leader. So he's actually, to me, in my opinion, the weakest character on the board.
So he could be someone like Clancy Brown's character in Shawshank Redemption, but maybe what we could say is that he's actually also maybe he's also a supervillain, and maybe he's also a failed supervillain.
I have this, he could be a supervillain that's just a villain because he's a villain, but because some of those head of guards are villains, or villainous. So, but what the interesting thing you could do is, I have this desire to see like a classic Frank Miller style Sin City illustration where you've got Nathan like having to like fight underneath like or above like a pile of cops, right? Like you send the guards into the cell to kind of to take them out. You know what I mean? So I don't know what would be the lieutenant's role into this. Is he in on the fix with the Warden?
You kind of have to be at the very least, because if he's the Warden's henchman, he would probably know about it, or at least suspect.
Maybe he's the one that actually sets up the fights. Because he would be the main, because the Warden moves the pieces on the board, but he's the chess piece.
He would be more like the either the knight or the rook.
Right.
Well, maybe he's the voice of the Warden. Like the Warden just like his made man. Like the Warden, like, hey, we need this to happen. And he gives him, saying the command, but he kind of facilitates the circumstance that it happens. That he goes, he whispers to both sides, hey, I need this and I need that, and blah blah blah. That's just my suggestion.
Basically, like almost like a hitman.
Who the head guard?
Yeah. Like, I mean, his whole thing is that, I mean, they can threaten anything they want. People die in prison all the time. You know what I mean? You know, Epstein didn't kill himself or whatever. So
Yeah.
right. So like you have the ability to, like, I mean we're talking to Supermax prison, right? So all of a sudden there's a villain that's been killed, but maybe it was a politician that paid the price, right? And so he's got his own mob of killer cops, you know, or like guards that kind of are like, you know, black ops that black ops. These aren't like regular prison guards. They're gonna have to be like hardcore black op, like operators, Delta Force kind of dudes to like take this. So might as well be like mercenaries.
That'd be kind of hard to maneuver because, like, if you have trained mercenaries, well, no, scratch that.
What if he didn't kill? What if Nathan didn't kill the head of the guards to save Cobalt Fox's life? What if he killed him to save the therapist's life?
Actually,
how does that endear Cobalt Fox to him at all?
But I don't know if I don't know if it would if we.
Here's a cliffhanger. I just kind of want to throw this in the system. What if the warden is secretly protecting somebody in that prison? Like, is somebody either related to him or somebody he's very close to? And he kind of draws him into his prison just to kind of protect him, because if he goes to any other prison, he's dead. So in that prison, he's trying to protect this one person, but nobody knows who this one person is that he's trying to protect. And you can kind of reveal it later, in a sense.
Okay.
Like maybe a son from a secret lover or something like that.
Oh, that's interesting. Let's talk about the head inmate number 2. Andrew, you kind of teed it off. You see him as like a classic mob boss.
Yeah, we just finished watching that show, The Offer, talking about the making of The Godfather. I don't know. I kind of imagine like a Godfather type character. Because that was a 70s trope.
What is the ages? Let's get a ballpark, like a age. Say a mafia boss, like throw an age out there.
60s.
Yeah, he'd have to be old enough to be, to like be in power, but not so old that he's decrepit.
Well, actually, point of reference I'm throwing out there is the show Oz.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because remember in Oz you had like multiple different factions. You had the Aryans, the Puerto Ricans, but it was different factions that kind of coexisted in a sense. And remember you had the Italian head, which was Shabetta.
Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't too old, but he was smooth. And it's like he kind of secretly ran the prison because nobody was really above him. And he wasn't real threatening when he talked, but he got shit done.
Mm-hmm.
But I think one of Adebisi ended up taking him out.
How old was he, Ramel?
I want to say Shabetta was I want to say about 60-ish, around that same that same age. It's like when he talks to you, he's like very humble, but you know what he means when he talks.
Yeah, and I kind of see the other inmate. I see this guy like a biker gang, like a Hell's Angel type. What's that actor? God, he's been in so many movies. He actually was a gang member, like back in the day. That's actually how they found
Chuck
him.
Zito.
Thank you. Zito, was that it? He's awesome.
Yeah, Chuck Zito is the real deal.
Yeah, he's like legit.
Very legit.
No, I'm spelling the name wrong. I messed. It's not John Zito. Damn it. You know who I'm talking about. It's not John Zito. It's
Chuck Zito.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking about someone else, but Chuck Zito works. I was also thinking about that the guy.
Biker.
Yeah, well, I was thinking about the guy. He's been in a ton of movies, man. God.
Only other person I'm thinking of is Danny Trejo. From what time period?
I mean, he's still around. Yeah, Danny Trejo is who I was thinking.
Yeah, makes sense.
That's exactly who I was thinking. Yep. That guy's life story is freaking crazy.
Yeah. He was actually born in San Francisco.
Yeah. Yeah, like he was like a hardcore MK. What's up, MK? I'm so late. You're never late, brother. Never, ever, ever.
Welcome.
Yeah, I believe it. I don't remember his background by heart, but like I believe it was something along the lines of like he was like a hardcore gangbanger, and they hired him because he looked tough, because he actually was tough.
No, he was a boxer.
But yeah,
and he had did some time, and I think somebody like knew him and gave him a film break. I can't remember the movie, his first movie he was in, but it was from his boxing background.
Yeah, but he was also a gangbanger, and so like,
Oh yeah,
and so like they started hiring him as a tough guy in gangs, and they're like, man, you're like an awesome, like you really know how to act, like you know how to play these gangbangers so well. And he was like, well, yeah, thank you. And he just kept accepting jobs. He just kept accepting jobs as a gangbanger, and he kept getting them. And now he's a freaking legend. Look at this dude, man. Come on.
Machete.
Dude's hardcore. Look at that. Fucking hardcore motherfucker.
Actually, not a lot of people realize, but the movie Machete was actually a fake trailer that got turned into a real movie.
Was it really
like Spy Kids or something?
No, it's
well, it was
was.
directed by Rodriguez.
Yeah, because he did it was one Grindhouse. I'll be real quick about that.
Oh, that's right.
He did the movie Grindhouse, and between the two movies, he did a bunch of fake trailers. And Machete was one of the fake trailers he did.
That's
so
right.
later, they wrote that into a real movie, and all the scenes from that fake trailer, they actually strung that together seamlessly into a really good movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so awesome. All right, So, how old is Danny Trejo?
Shit. He's got to be 60, 70.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's. I guess the better question is like, how old was he when? Yeah, he was born in 1944, so he's like
Old as fuck.
he's old as fuck.
78.
No, he's not. That's not true. Is it really 78? Wow.
Born in
he's
44.
78.
Yeah.
How old was he in Machete? When did Machete come out? The movie
In the 2000s.
2010.
So,
and there was
60,
a sequel in 2013.
I never watched it.
No, so 2010. So that's 12 years ago. So he was 66.
Yep.
Anybody ever seen Machete?
Oh yeah.
You know the one scene I cannot get out of my head about that movie. Remember towards the beginning, the girl with the cell phone?
Oh yeah. Yes. Fair enough.
That's all I'm gonna say. Talk about a prison wallet.
Oh boy.
Anyway, Cobalt Fox, Warden, head inmate. Then we've got the head of the guards. Head inmate number 2. We just have classic mob boss. We can get him up later, and sort of like flesh the character out. What about the therapist? We've got some notes on the therapist, but might as well. It's a good time to, since we're kind of streamlining everything. It's a good time to reinvestigate it. Now, is this? How do we feel about the therapist being the only female in an all male prison, super prison?
So let me ask this: what are her physical features? Is she
Good
like
question.
slender, slightly overweight? Because that could you could string other things along with that. Because if she's like good looking, she would have a husband or some shit like that. But if she was like fat, then which, you know, nothing wrong with being a plus size woman.
Romel, what are you trying to imply here?
You know, maybe actually we could go. We could try. What we could also do is make her kind of like Amanda Waller from DC.
Yeah. Yes.
Something like that. You know, kind of like a. She's like the only woman she's the only woman in this prison full of like hardened, basically hardened psychopaths, with like superpowers. Yet they're all terrified of her because, her magic power is that she is just her intelligence. She's able to basically suss out what their weak points are and where to put the boot in, as it were, kind of like the way like Amanda Waller works in the comic books. She's like, well, her power, her power comes from the fact that she's very good at breaking the wills of others. So even though she's surrounded by people who probably could blow her apart with a mere thought, they're too shit scared of her to even like think about it. So it could be like that.
I hate to say it, but I think the exact opposite. I think, what if, yes, she's the only woman in the prison, but what if she does have a superpower? What if she does have a superpower that allows her to not be harmed by anybody? It's the only reason why she's in this prison. Maybe she has the power, like if somebody touches her or somebody comes too close to her, she can blink out and teleport out of there or something. Or maybe it could be something as simple as, cool. Maybe she turns to rock or something, so where she can't be hurt or something like that. But I imagine her like petite and cute and the exact opposite of somebody would fear. Even though in her real life, in her real position, she is like a horrifying, terrifying person. You can't see that when you see her. She is the ultimate alter ego.
The secretary from Zootopia.
No, I'm thinking
the sheep.
what's the girl? Who was Star Lord's girlfriend in Parks and Recreation?
Now I'm imagining Star
Aubrey
Wars.
Plaza. Aubrey Plaza, that's the actress.
Yes, that's who I'm imagining her looking like. Somebody
Totally.
petite and cute, and
I'm-
nobody would be afraid of her at all. But she has something that allows her to be safe.
Well, you know,
I really like the
KG,
idea of her
she also
blinking
played
away.
played the villain in what was it, Millennium, or what it was? You know, the TV show about Xavier's kid that was on Hulu a few years ago.
Oh right, Legion. Power. KG says power
Yeah,
of
Legion.
suggestion can make people do her bidding. That's actually pretty interesting because that
Ooh,
the power of
ooh.
suggestion means that there's like being she can frame people, she can kill people, and that might create an interesting.
And maybe people don't know she has this power, and maybe that's something that everybody thinks is odd, is that she's the only woman in the prison, and nobody's ever assaulted her or taken advantage of her or anything, and they don't realize that she has like a power to.
That's cool.
Like if somebody went to attack her, she could say something like, "No, you don't want to do that," and all of a sudden they'd be like, "No, I don't want to do this."
Like the character in that horrible movie Silver Fox. Remember Wolverine Origin? He had the girl Silver Fox. And remember she kind of quelled that whole situation to where those guys wanted to kick his ass, but they didn't really realize what they were fucking with. And she touched him, and she kind of influenced him through touch. Is that what you're referring to? Like she has a power of influence, but it has to be through touch.
I think maybe something that goes along with her profession. The fact that if she talks to you, she kind of.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, well,
not touches you, but if vocal, yeah.
Or actually, let me add this added layer. Let's say the prison is a facility for failed MK Ultra candidates, because the MK Ultra conspiracy was a real thing, and maybe it's like these failed experiments to where they have these superpowers, but not to the satisfaction of the program. So they're in this prison. She's also a failed experiment, but she's not a prisoner. She's placed there as a warden to kind of monitor them. Just throwing that out there.
Mm-hmm. MK says, a la Jessica Jones, Kilgrave, or Umbrella Academy, Allison. Yeah, I could totally see that. Like Kilgrave was crazy.
I'm more familiar with Allison.
It was so weird seeing David Tennant play a villain.
I know. I don't
It's
want
like,
to go.
but I like you, and you're evil
I
now.
know. You're a nice person. You're a nice person. Wicked, man. That's pretty interesting. And then really just to kind of wrap tonight up in a bow, she's basically the big boss. Right? Or the big boss of the story. Right? Is that pretty fair?
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
I think so.
it's more of a twist than having the warden be the big bad boss.
Now I got to look at Zootopia, because it actually kind of reminds me of Zootopia, where you have, the mayor, which is the lion, is kind of set up as the bad guy, does like a lot of bad stuff, and falls, but is not the actual big bad guy. The big bad guy is the sheep, which is, well, I don't want to give it away. Sorry.
I've never seen Zootopia. I probably won't.
It's
I
really
love that we're
Spoilers.
telling this hardcore prison break story, and our cultural point of reference is Zootopia.
Yes.
Just putting that out there.
There's a lot of things that can be said about Zootopia that are probably best not mentioned.
That's
Oh,
right.
please don't. Please do not mention that.
Yeah, you don't want to go there.
Right. And of course, as KG reminds us, not known till the end. Awesome, guys. Well, I think that's pretty good. We're pretty much at time. Anything else we want to add before we just chill and do a little chill stream and hang out and party and shit?
Well, one thing I want to add, I just want to put this out there. A lot of times in your story, the strongest character is the most ambiguous one. Is where it's like you really don't focus too much on that particular person, but they do play pivotal. They make pivotal decisions. So if, let's say, I'm the big bad, but I'm not the visible big bad, because if you have a visible big bad, then that's where your target's always going to be.
Right.
So if I'm the invisible big bad, I really don't have a target on my back, and I can pretty much go unnoticed, and I can infiltrate better. So that's just psychological point I just laying out there.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Like, well, it was a horrible movie, but Guy Pearce taught us that in Iron Man 3, it's like once you present us with a bad guy, then that's who they're going to focus their hate on.
Mm-hmm.
But remember, he was the guy behind the Mandarin actually pulling the strings. We didn't know that until the climax of the movie. He played a underling, but he was really the bad guy.
Right.
Ooh. I hate to throw this out here. Remember where I said Nathan kills somebody in order to save Cobalt Fox's life?
Yep.
What if he has to kill somebody to save Cobalt Fox and the psychiatrist? Turns out, this is the guy that killed his father. That's the woman who set him up to do it. What if that's something we find out in the second book? The second story is that he literally saved in his road going down to become a criminal mastermind. He saved the life of the two people responsible for the killing of his own father.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Drama.
KG says, they ruined the Mandarin. They did ruin the Mandarin.
Oh my God! Yes, they did.
They did.
Oh man, yeah.
I was actually pissed about that. Like, what?
Yeah, that was lame.
That's right. M. Night Twist.
KG. All right, MK with a M. Night Shyamalan twist.
I was just talking about him today. How he made like 2 good movies and a string of not so great movies.
Well, he got stuck, man. He got stuck, known as like the twist guy,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
and that's really difficult to start with the twist. Like, oh, but it's not this. Oh, but it's not that, because everyone knows it's coming, and then all of a sudden you're stuck like trying to make something.
Well, he's at least he's still making movies, which is more than a lot of guys can say. I mean, someone's willing to pay for it.
Hey, that's true.
He's still making movies?
Yeah.
After the last Airbender?
Yeah, you're talking about M. Night Shyamalan, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think he's got like a sequel to Unbreakable in the works.
Yeah,
It's already been done.
Yeah.
There's actually been 2 sequels.
Two.
Split was also in Unbreakable, and Glass was the trilogy.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it.
Glass and then or Split and then Glass.
Split was okay.
Split was good.
Split was better, but Glass, the ending, like, it fell apart at the very end with the Secret Society.
I did it.
Well, that's because they tried to shift the focus of the movie from the characters that everybody liked and was interested in to people nobody gave a rat's ass about.
And see, well, and remember, she was a therapist. Remember, she was a therapist that was actually secretly pulling the strings, but she was also a member of a larger society.
Da da da.
Wow.
Which kind of falls within the guidelines of what we were trying to structure.
All right, wrap this up before we start getting compared to M. Night Shyamalan movies, and then
yeah, that's the twist. We're making an M. Night Shyamalan movie.
That's the twist, isn't it?
The next thing you know, we're being compared to Last Airbender.
As long as this movie doesn't start out really good, then end with just a very special guy chasing a blind girl in the woods, I'll be happy.
What movie was that?
The Village.
Yeah, it starts out like a really good movie, then all of a sudden it's just a special person chasing a blind girl in the woods, and that part sucked.
And with that, we'd like to thank
Howard. She's awesome. I love her. She's great.
Bye.
Yeah. Oh, hey, it says MK says and the crappening.
Yeah.
Crappening.
Yeah, that was not good.
No, Lady in the Water sucked.
Did it?
Oh my God!
I've
Yes.
never actually finished watching that movie. I've never made it to the end.
No, I have seen it. It's pretty meh.
Yeah, I've never.
Yeah, I know. I missed that one. I'm glad I still kind of like M. Night, and I think the reason is because I haven't actually seen too many of his movies.
Most of his movies.
I will never forgive him for Last Airbender. Just put that.
Yeah, that was unforgivable.
What? Wait. Okay, before now I'm curious. What happened with Airbender that made it so bad? Like, what did he do?
Ruined everything.
No, he ruined the source material. He really did.
Yeah, it's like, dude, it's shot for shot already done for you, bro.
How did he ruin it? What did he do? Like, how
they completely cut out one of the main characters, the Rockbender character. They completely cut her out of the story. The entire last battle scene was all in the dark. And trust me, I saw the movie in 3D with my family. It was not easy to watch.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It's one of those movies where everything from the acting to the script to the choreography to the effects is just completely wrong.
Yeah, they also completely race washed all the characters, which...
And the source material is so awesome.
Yeah.
They had so much potential, and they just flubbed it horrifically.
Well, the thing is, and this happens a lot, when you have rich source material, you're trying to jam a relevant story into a 2-hour runtime, and that's difficult to do without altering the story.
Mm-hmm.
I sympathize, but they also didn't even pronounce the characters' names right.
It's the same problem that's
that's pretty unforgivable.
Wait, Flint, you saw M. Night Shyamalan's Last Airbender?
I did.
Get the fuck out of here! Didn't see Shawshank Redemption, but he saw Last Airbender. Get the hell out of here!
I knew what I was getting into, and it was a hate watch.
Flint, did you see the live action remake of Cowboy Bebop on Netflix?
I have avoided it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't hate myself enough to watch that.
Yeah, so it's kind of the same problem there.
Because that is one of my favorite animes ever. I love Cowboy Bebop.
Yes.
Oh, Cowboy Bebop is insanely good.
You want to talk about a show with a beat, with a rhythm, the art style, the music, everything,
oh, man.
dude.
I think I watched that series maybe 5 or 6 times at least. Just end to end.
And there's certain episodes I've seen probably 10 times each.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Episode
La Perot.
Yeah. The best one, dude.
Yeah,
Yep,
dude,
I watched
episode's
that on loop.
fantastic.
I was like animating watching that movie over and over just to kind of try to get some of the fire and flames and like emulate like the explosions and the way the missiles would fly. Like, oh man, such a great
That's
one.
when they actually cared about hand-drawn animation.
Oh man, tell me about it.
One of the last hand-drawn animated masterpieces.
I
Oh,
still
such a masterpiece.
quote little things from Cowboy Bebop.
Mhm.
Like if someone says, "Hey, you want some of this?" I'll be like, "I'll take the other thing."
No, I thought you were gonna bust out like "See You, Space Cowboy."
No,
Yeah.
no, little lines.
That's what I say when I go to the bathroom every.
Like if someone's like freaking
Oh.
out about something and they're rambling on, I go, "Seems that way. Seems that way."
Seems that way. So
But
good.
actually, speaking of Cowboy Bebop, there is a rich story that happens totally before the series starts,
Mhm,
and that's when Spike and Vicious, where they were both assassins,
mhm.
Mhm.
and Julia was I think Spike's love interest in the organization, but Vicious kind of liked her too, but kind of set up that accident that he tried to kill Spike or whatever.
Yeah.
Mhm. Plus, there's a lot of good guns, like real life guns in there, like the Jericho that Spike carries.
Oh yes, yes. I still want a Jericho. That's on my list.
Yeah.
Somebody bring up gay frog so Todd can go ahead and cancel the stream.
Anyway, thanks for bringing that up.
There you
Andrew.
go. All
Love you
right.
very much. Thank you guys for cut the string. Love you guys so much. Another exciting episode of the Lore Games. This is great. We actually did a lot. I was a little worried, to be honest, last time when we decided to divide it into 3 books. But it's actually starting to work, man. This prison book is pretty darn cool. I still want to look at some Grindhouse personally because I'm not actually that versed in Grindhouse, but I want to watch some. And it does feel
Go to
like-
Tubi.
Huh?
Go to Tubi. You'll get plenty
You're
of
gonna watch
Grindhouse
that one
there.
movie, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna watch that one movie, Sex and let's see, Tubi, Sex, SEX, and Fury. We'll watch that trailer because Ramel hasn't seen it.
Yeah, they have a lot. They have a lot of
Fair.
old
I hope.
garbage, like, and the free movies on Vudu sometimes have some
Oh,
of those
yeah.
movies.
No, as soon as we go to After Hours, I'm gonna tell y'all about that weird movie I saw, but I'm just waiting for it to go.
What, a Serbian film?
Banana
No, no,
pudding.
no, no, no.
Banana pudding.
Oh,
Banana
the only thing
pudding.
that came the
Oh,
only thing
no.
that came up the only thing that came up wait, the only thing that came up on Tubi is Love, Sex, and Kung Fu.
Oh, that sucked. I watched that. That sucked. I saw that bullshit.
Yay! Of course Ramel saw it.
That was some bullshit.
She's hot though. The chick on the box is pretty good looking.
There's some
Okay.
bullshit.
Anyway, guys, thank you so much for coming out. Thank you so much to MK, always on time. KG, thank you so much. Willie D, thank you so much. Dusty, everybody else, we really appreciate you coming out. And like I said, stuff is moving. That first chapter, that first season of everything, the Blood and Metal thing, is in active development. We are actually moving forward in the scripting phase, and I can't talk too much to it, but I can say that Zach stuff is freaking awesome.
It's real good.
It's really good. So I'm super excited to see that and have it come out. So we're doing real things. We're pushing real work. I can't wait for this as well. And yeah, it's starting to feel like a graphic novel or something. So we'll have to figure that out. But yeah, thank you guys so much. Love you as always. Feel free to hop over in Discord. KG says fun time. Yeah, absolutely, brother. Always, man. Hop over in Discord. We'll see you soon. And until then, God bless. Love you all.